Welcome back to another episode of the Makers Podcast. My guest on today's episode is the 28-year-old Masha Drokova, the founder of Day One Ventures, an investment fund focused on investing in early-stage companies. As well as this, Masha was also named in this year's 30 Under 30 Forbes list for venture capitalists. But just before we dive into today's episode, we have an upcoming event taking place at WeWork Aviation House, based in London, on June the 4th. We have two amazing speakers. The first is Graham Hobson, who co-founded Photobox, which also bought Moonpig.com. And the second speaker is Aaron Simpson, the co-founder of the Quintessentially Group, the private members club, which turns over $100 million a year. So if you'd like to attend this event, you can head over to makersseed.com, head over to the events page, and for a 50% discount, enter coupon code podcast, and we would love to see you there. So let's dive into today's episode. Masha, welcome to the show. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. Thank you so much.
Thank you as well. So what did you have for breakfast this morning?
Oh, I had omelette. I ordered omelette on Uber Eats and was eating while making conference calls.
Fair enough. Saving time is key. And what's the one thing you wish you did differently before you turned 20?
Before I turned 20? That's a great question. Oh, I think I should just have done everything the way I did. Maybe I should have spent more time working on my English instead of doing politics, but it's too late.
Awesome. And what's your favorite company right now, apart from any of your portfolio companies and Day One?
I love them all. It's like, it's like asking mom, what is your favorite kid? I can tell you about some of them, which I'm very excited today, but all of them are amazing.
Awesome. As in quick fire questions, are you a night owl or early bird?
I'm very flexible. I can be both.
Depending which city you're in, I guess.
Just depending what I do, but I'm very flexible. I can wake up anytime and feel fresh and cool.
Happy days. Facebook or Twitter?
Twitter.
Tea or coffee?
Coffee.
And one final one, VC or PR?
VC.
Happy days. So for those of us who don't know anything about you, could you just summarize your career to date in a minute?
Yes, sure. I'm running venture fund, Day One Ventures, where we're building the most founder-centric early stage fund. And we work with companies helping them to grow using and improving communication and specifically using PR. We pay lots of attention to words, and we do believe that words are magic, and we do believe that using the right words on the right time is something that can define companies' trajectory.
And before we go into Day One Ventures, your background's in PR. Why did you start in PR?
It just happened. I was 5 years in public politics, as well as TV host. So I was speaker and I was a reporter. And then I had my social media company when I was 19. It was my first business. And at that time in Twitter, I met amazing entrepreneur. His name is Sergey Belosov, and he founded $3 billion companies, Acronis, Parallels, and Brolson. And we started, I was just making some sarcastic comments to Sergey's tweets, because I found him interesting, and we met and we started talking, and he's like, oh, just stop doing this social media business. You should help me to build Russian Quantum Center. And he started feeding me with the information about Quantum Center and started meeting me with a team of Russian Quantum Center and lots of people there, advisory board with the Nobel Prize winners and really, really smart people from Harvard and other places. And within 2 months, he convinced me that helping fundamental science and building new scientific centers is something that is better than social media marketing. And one of the roles there was PR. And we succeeded there quite quickly, just because I didn't know anything about PR, but I had experience as a politician and I had experience as a reporter. And I was hyper excited about Russian Quantum Center and Sergey, who founded it. And I was so sincere that reporters were taking my pitches and succeeded in PR. And then when succeeded, Sergey asked to do PR for venture fund Runa Capital. And I became head of PR for the fund and large portfolio of the fund. So I just learned it by doing it. It just happened this way. And someone saw that I can be a good PR person. And it just happened this way. And it was my way to bring value to the leader I really believed in.
And during that, you became famous after a documentary was written about you and made about you, about your leadership of the youth arm of Putin's political party. How did you get involved in politics?
It wasn't a party, it was movement. It was actually much bigger than all parties in Russia in terms of number of activists. I joined this youth movement when I was 15. 15. I was in Tambov, last class at school, and I wanted to help my country. And the movement was anti-fascist democratic youth movement. And anti-fascist ideology resonated with me a lot because I think like all people deserve having human rights and deserve being loved. It doesn't really matter what nationality they are. But unfortunately, at the time in Russia, not everyone would agree with this idea. So I found it really important to fight fascism and new fascistic and nationalistic moods in Russia. And in 1 year and a half, the movement grew into 100,000 people. And I became one of the leaders of this movement. And it's all just happened very, very fast. And I think the main reason why my career in politics went up so quickly because I was very sincere and I just really loved what I did.
So I'm guessing you met the man himself, Putin, or did you not?
Yep.
And what's he like behind closed doors? Is he nice or?
In person, he's completely different versus Putin. You can read about in press. At least he was different for me. He was very humble and very kind of quiet, not speaking too much, more giving you to speak, and very attentive to all words and to all details, and very, very present. And one thing I was fascinated by that he remembered every single small thing I would say, and he can remember it in a few months, and then just like address what kind of things he's done with ideas I shared. That was very impressive. And I was 16 and 17 years old from tiny little town. And this kind of sincere attention to what I think from his side what impressed me a lot. And I transitioned from being like Putin neutral. And I don't think before joining the movement, I actually very much loved him, to like through this kind of personal connection, it transitioned into his supporter.
So impressive. So moving on to your venture funds, Day One Ventures, which you launched almost 2 years ago. Why did you decide to enter the world of VC?
I had amazing experience working at VC firm Runa Capital. Being there, I sourced companies like ClassPass and just really loved and enjoyed working with entrepreneurs. And then my PR business PR studio, we had a chance to work with companies like WeWork, House, Hotel Tonight, Get, TopTal, and very many of our clients succeeded, and some of them grew from like 15 to 1.4 billion within the top 2-3 years working with us. And just give me a sense that we pick the right people to work with, and they pick us. And I also just felt like I want to align incentives with companies I work with better, because when you're an agency, you're kind of a little bit transactional, right? It's like monthly checks and founder benefit only long term. So I was like, okay, choosing taking more risk and picking the teams to work with, and then investing in these companies, our time, our PR support, and other things like networking and supporting their fundraising and all other stuff. And it just been very nice. And then last thing is just I've been in very deep, exciting spiritual flow for 2 years, and it just kind of dropped in me that this fund should be existing. So it was very natural. It was hard to not do it,
Awesome. So you are slightly different from most venture funds. You also help with entrepreneurs with all their publicity and PR. What's the process of entrepreneurs looking to raise if they were to pitch to you today?
Yeah, I think the best way to write me email, it's masha@day1ventures.co. And I'll just take a look. And if it's something we can add value, I would reach back and we'll have a conversation. And the best way to just like be super open and on this conversation. So we can see if we can be partners. It's a very straightforward process. We're a small team of 4 people. We have very fast making decisions, very, very fast. We usually trying to stay very founder-centric, not trading for like better valuations and all this stuff, more like choosing long-term partners.
And your ethos at Day One Ventures is supporting founders who are encouraging and solving the world's biggest problems. What are you seeing as the world's biggest problems right now?
That's an amazing question. I think the biggest problems, actually 2, I think first is what humans do with the nature. And I think what humans do with their own mind, how they use it, mental health and existential risks regarding the nature.
And the name Day One Ventures, I believe, is inspired by Jeff Bezos. How was it inspired? Right. And have you met him?
I did meet him.
And what's he like?
He's very open and fun and very smart.
Would you like him to be an investor one day in Day One Ventures?
I don't comment on this.
But moving on, what are the current challenges in the VC landscape?
I would say the challenge is that people don't really understand how quickly the world is moving. And I think really underestimate that, you know. And sometimes some things that people do, they do that automatically because they decided years ago to do this thing this way or to support particular type of technologies. And I think the problem is that people in VC should just let go of many ideas that are not actual and important anymore. And when before the fund, I was angel investor, made significant exits, and then been doing this fund. So it's almost 3 years since I started investing myself, not counting the time when I was in the fund. At that time, 3 years ago, I was thinking about investing in just cool companies with great founders and kind of particular culture, right? But I think right now, if you VC and if you're not putting significant amount of time of finding, supporting, and growing impactful companies related to health, related to nature, I think it is really sad because there are some things that needs lots of attention, and there are some things working on viral social media app is very much fun, and you can cheer up many people, and it's fun, but isn't the most important problem these days, right? Is it the best investment of hours of your life? And I think, I hope like us very much more looking at impact related to nature and mental health. And I hope that many VC could be doing that.
Super impressive. But what's even more impressive, you were named as the Forbes 30 under 30 this year for venture capital. Congratulations.
Thank you.
How does it feel?
I didn't think about that much. I'm very grateful for that because it's generated us additional deal flow, and it's been great for our firm. I don't think if it's something to proud of. I think there is very clear things like what kind of problems we solved in the world and how good we are solving them. This is something that I care about the most.
Well, what's really interesting about you guys is you really talk about the happiness of founders. And I believe you didn't find your happiness until you went to Peru. Can you tell us about that? And maybe tell us some of the biggest challenges you have faced as a founder and also a female founder.
Yeah, I think in modern world, happy people can accomplish more. And I think happiness, just notice in people. I think happiness is a result of high level of self-awareness. Happiness cannot be a goal, but happiness is a side effect of people coming closer to the truth and better understanding of themselves. And I think if you kind of full and if you feel complete, if you feel balanced, happiness is a side effect, but another side effect is just your capability and resourcefulness to be able to build new things for the world. So we're looking for happy and empathetic founders, and that's a truly hard thing to find because not all the founders necessarily want to be this way.
And what are maybe two of the biggest challenges you have faced as a founder? Those biggest screw-ups you can share with us?
Oh, that's a wonderful question. I think the major challenge in VC is a long feedback loop, right? Even if we get some good exits, as we actually got, it's very too early to really judge if we're good investors. And I think not like our challenge is but challenge I think for everyone. And we're trying to do our best to work on that. Just be finding out what help you to make right decision, finding out these principles of decision making, and then stick with them. Because stick with them is something that is really hard for people. But if you don't do that, you're not learning fast enough. And you could do this business by two ways. You could do this business professionally, and professionally you're money manager, and you need to have weighted approach, right? It should be your style, and you should be yourself doing that, but it should be approach, it should be some strategy. So you learn, or you can just do it as a casino and go with the flow and just respond yes, no. But it's not necessarily something where you could build a good firm and where you could build some system that helps to make right decision and can be replicated and can give impressive results long term. And I don't think all we see just trying to be consistent. Sometimes it's just very opportunistic. And I think opportunistic is fine in the beginning, but then you need to be coming up with principles and discipline yourself to actually follow them.
So you talk about principles there. What are your 4 key principles?
That's a good question. I think, first of all, companies we invest in should have day one culture. And there is a wonderful indicator of day one culture, which is obsession with customers. 2, companies should have high standards. 3, founders should be happy and empathetic. And the last thing is just should be addressing some significant problem, and that should be a true mission, not just marketing layer around what company does.
And before I ask my question for your advice for entrepreneurs, I ask founders, what's your BHAG? Does Masha have a big, hairy, audacious goal for the next 5 years?
That's a wonderful question. I want to invest in companies that had significant role into solving world's major problem with nature and with mental health and probably in other areas.
And Masha, if you could give one piece of advice to an entrepreneur, what would it be?
I have the same advice for all humans. Love more. All great things in my life came from me sincerely loving someone or something, and just have less fear around. Just don't really afraid to love things, people, ideas, and let yourself do that.
Amazing. Well, Masha, thank you so much. You've been such a joy to have on the show, and we wish you all the best.
Thank you so much.